Hi everyone. Well, it's finally getting cool enough here in Southern California to get my cool weather veggies planted. Today I'm going to show you how to plant broccoli in the winter. Now this video is especially for you southern climate gardeners with mild winters, but for you northern gardeners, you can follow the same tips to plant broccoli early in the spring. Now it's a chilly morning. We're filming about 8 a.m. It's actually about 40 degrees out here today. Now broccoli loves the cool weather, and the key to getting good broccoli heads is to plant it when the weather is 75 degrees or under, and to grow it to harvest while the weather is still cool. So we're going to be planting broccoli here in this little shorty raised bed. Remember a few weeks ago, we've already refreshed the soil. If you missed that video, go back and check it out. So we already added some compost, some organic fertilizer, some worm castings. This bed is ready to go. And this is really a perfect little garden bed to plant broccoli in. It's about 18 inches deep. Broccoli has pretty good roots, so you definitely want to plant it in a container that's at least 18 inches deep. This one is perfect. So we started these seeds indoors about 6 weeks ago. Let's pop them in the garden bed. Now broccoli is actually an edible flower. Those little florets, those are just little flowers that haven't quite opened yet. And when we get to the harvesting part of broccoli, when this broccoli is ready to harvest, I'll show you how to harvest it before those little florets open up. You'll have perfect little broccoli heads. Now, broccoli is really challenging for me to grow here in Southern California because, like I said, it likes temperatures of 75 degrees or under. And often we get warm temps in the wintertime. So broccoli is very, very heat sensitive. When it gets above 75 or 80 degrees, it tends to bolt and start to flower. So, like I said, these were started indoors about 6 weeks ago. They've been hardening off. If you haven't started your seeds yet indoors, I'll show you how to plant it from seed in just a moment. But I am going to put one little broccoli seedling in each little section. Actually, this little seed cell has 4 broccoli seedlings. I'm going to go ahead and leave it intact, and then we'll be thinning the broccoli out as it grows. So I just dug a hole, popping it in. You can also add a little bit of organic fertilizer to your planting hole if you like. But we just added that a few weeks ago, so no need to do it now. So I'm going to plant another one of these little 6-packs in my other planting hole right over here. And I'll give a little tip at the end for you southern gardeners who deal with heat in the wintertime like I do to help keep your broccoli nice and cool. Just popping that in there, covering it up. And broccoli is a really fun vegetable because it's what's called a cut and come again vegetable. So once you harvest the main head, it has little side shoots that will continue to grow and give you broccoli for a couple of months. Now broccoli is quite a large plant. So I've got 2 plants on either end of little shorty, but I'm also going to plant some seeds in the middle. That way we're succession planting and we have a harvest at different times. So the transplants will be ready to harvest in probably about 60 days or so. The seeds will take about 90 days or so to come to harvest. And that does depend though on the sunlight here in the garden. I get much less sunlight in the wintertime because the house shades the garden. So a lot of times my plants grow much, much slower. So if you don't have your little seedlings already started indoors, just plant little seeds right here in little shorty. And I'm going to space them about 2 to 3 inches apart. I always like to seed heavily. That way if the birds come and pick the seeds out, I've got plenty in there to germinate. And lots of little seedlings will pop up, and then we just thin them out as they grow, depending on how quickly they're growing. Now I'm also going to plant a few more little seeds along the front of the garden bed here. And if you don't have your seedlings started, go ahead and grab some seeds. Broccoli seeds are in my fall garden seed collection. This is Waltham broccoli, and it's 20% off right now. Everything on my website with the code Little Shorty. You're also going to get a free lettuce seed collection. That's 5 varieties of lettuce, which is perfect for winter growing. Now I transplanted one of my broccoli seedlings from my 6-packs into my little 1-gallon smart pots here. I'm going to let it grow a little bit bigger and plant it in another container in the garden. But the cool thing about broccoli is it will take a frost. It takes temperatures down to as low as 20 degrees if the roots are good and established. So even for you southern gardeners who might get light frosts, broccoli is going to do really, really well for you in the wintertime. And for you northern gardeners, get your broccoli planted around the time of the last frost date in the spring. Just start your seeds indoors about 6 to 8 weeks ahead of that. You'll be good to go with some early spring broccoli. Get it in the garden before it gets too hot and you'll get some nice broccoli heads to harvest. Now broccoli, when it's first planted, likes a lot of nitrogen. So I'm giving it this fish fertilizer, which has a higher nitrogen number, that's the 5 number, to really help encourage that green leafy growth right off the bat when it first gets planted. And then as the little heads start to form, I'll continue watering it, keeping the soil nice and moist, but not use a higher nitrogen fertilizer. Use like a Vermistera Vitality, which is just a slow and steady growth and lower in the nitrogen, and it'll really encourage the broccoli heads forming. And if you're not getting rain in your area, your containers will dry out quicker, so you do want to check them daily just by sticking your finger in the soil. And if it's wet, you don't need to water, but if it's dry, definitely give your plants a little bit of a drink. Containers do also need fertilizing more often. I like to fertilize mine every 10 days to every 2 weeks because the water and the nutrients leach out a lot quicker because there's lots of good drainage in these pots. Now, one thing you can do to keep your broccoli cooler on those random 85-degree winter days is mulch your containers. Very important. So here I'm spreading some shredded leaf mulch about a couple inches deep around my seedling. The deeper the better to keep those roots cooler on those warm winter days. And then I'm just going to spread it very lightly here over the seeds I planted so as not to inhibit germination. And it really does make a difference on those warm winter days. Another tip to help keep your broccoli cooler on days that get above 75 degrees is shade cloth. It might seem crazy to use shade cloth in the winter, but it really does help. So if you've never used shade cloth before, we'll let some of the sun's rays get through, but really help keep your plants about 10 degrees cooler underneath. So just drape a piece over your container. It'll really help keep your broccoli plants cooler in the heat. You southern gardeners, let me know if you'll be growing broccoli along with me this winter. If you need seeds, head over to CaliKimGardenandHome.com. Grab your fall garden seed collection. There's 14 varieties that you southern gardeners can grow over the winter time. And grab a little shorty or a Cali Kim 10-gallon smart pots, which are perfect for growing broccoli. Don't forget 20% off with the code Little Shorty. Everything on my website. Plus you get a free lettuce seed collection with your purchase. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.